Hello and welcome. I don't know if I've actually filmed an introduction to this reading vlog, so if not, hello. Welcome to my reading vlog of Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. This vlog will contain spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled for the book, then go away. But anyway, I hope you enjoy. So I am 28% into Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. Doesn't actually say on here who it's by, so hopefully I'm right. I've decided to do a reading vlog with it. However, now that I've decided that sat down to film, I don't actually know if I've got enough to talk about. But we'll find out. Well, I'll find out. If I don't have enough to talk about, you will never find out. But anyway, we have met our main character Eleanor, and Eleanor is not completely fine. Eleanor's life pretty much consists of work and getting drunk at the weekend. On her own, at home. She constantly complains about people having poor social skills, when in reality she is the one with poor social skills and is unable to interact properly with the people around her. Her mum is institutionalised, but we don't know that from the very beginning. I think the first inclination I had that she was locked away was when Eleanor said that she had no control over what she ate, and that made me start to wonder about where she was. So I think she's in prison, but we don't yet know why. So I've got a theory it's to do with Eleanor. I also have a theory that Eleanor used to have a sister and that perhaps Eleanor's mum is in prison because of why Eleanor no longer has a sister and of why Eleanor is covered in scars. But I don't yet know that. I'll have to read on and see. So Eleanor has had some interactions with the IT help guy where she works. And when they are leaving work, they see a guy, I think he's having a heart attack, maybe a stroke, but he keels over in the street. So they go to his aid, and this has led to Eleanor having a few interactions, both with the man that she helped and with the IT guy as well. I can't remember his name, we have been told it, but I'm not always very good at remembering these things. So as well as that, Eleanor has met the love of her life. He doesn't know she exists. She saw him performing because he's a musician, and she thinks that he's the perfect guy and he's the one for her. So she has basically just started stalking him. So far, the book is quite amusing. I'm enjoying how Eleanor believes that she is completely fine, that she's very normal, when as a reader we can see that she's not. Now, I think a big part of this is because of her childhood, her upbringing, and her mum. I think she has been brought up to see things as normal that are really not normal. So now that she's an adult, what she believes to be normal is not. And I also think that there's trauma in her past as well. At one point she goes for a bikini wax, and when she's there, she says something about being accustomed to pain and that she'll just go into her little white room, which to me suggests that she's experienced trauma in the past, probably physical, and that her way of dealing with this was disassociating and disappearing into this room in her head. But at the moment this is all theory. I mean, we know that some things happen to her because she's covered in scars, which makes me think fire, but I don't know. So I guess there's a lot at the moment that I'm just guessing at, and I'll need to read more to find out, and I'll take you along on that journey. So I read a lot of Eleanor, had a lot to say about Eleanor, put off making a video, have forgotten everything I wanted to say about Eleanor. I have read an additional chapter to try and refresh my memory, but we'll see if that has actually worked. So Eleanor has shown a bit of stalkerish behaviour. There's a musician that she thinks is the one. She's never met him, she's just seen him perform and believes that he is the one for her. She finds out that he's playing at this venue, so she goes and then discovers that the tickets are sold out, she can't get in. She's quite calm and accepting about this, so it's all good. The next day is in Tesco's, I believe, and she sees him. So she follows him around a bit, realises that she might be a bit obvious, so stops following him, and then luckily for her, runs into him at the checkout. He is 2 people ahead of her, and she listens to the interaction he has with the checkout staff. Now, he doesn't have a Tesco card, so she tweets him saying that he should get a Tesco card that can save him a lot of money. Luckily, he doesn't realise that the text is from somebody following him, but thinks that it's Big Tesco trying to sell him their card, so he dismisses it. And it was all a little bit creepy, but it's one where you know she doesn't mean any harm, but you also worry where it's going to go, whether it will turn into some sort of harm, because she's getting a bit obsessed with him. And I really hope that she's not going to escalate in any way. So she hasn't as of yet, and I think a big part of that is because of her friendship with Richmond, I'm really bad at names, and the guy who collapsed in the street that they helped. She's developing a friendship with these guys and the people around them, and I think that's distracting her from stalking this guy. Hopefully her friendship will stop it altogether, but I'm having my doubts. So I had been finding a lot of the book funny. Some of the conversations she has with people where she really doesn't understand social cues, she doesn't understand how to talk to people, and I've been finding the situations funny. But I have been a little bit worried, because historically mental health in fiction has been treated not great. So often people with mental health issues are shown as being dangerous, or they're shown as being the comic relief, as well as issues around how accurate representation of mental health is. And when I'm reading this book and she's stalking this guy, I'm worried that she's going to become dangerous. I don't think she will, but at the same time, actively stalking someone is not a good thing to be doing. And it could become really unpleasant for the guy she's stalking, even though he's a bit of a dickhead. But just because you're a dickhead doesn't mean that you deserve stalking. And then there's the situations that I'm finding amusing, where it's sort of turning her mental health into something to be laughed at. I think it's creating empathy at the same time. But I wouldn't say you're laughing with her, you're laughing at her in the situation she's in, which again isn't good for mental health representation. But then calling it mental health representation isn't particularly accurate either, because I think her problems with social interactions don't come from being mentally unwell. They come from her experiences growing up, how she's been taught to see the world, and how she's taught to socially interact with people is basically the reason why she's unable to socially interact with people very well. And I think some of it is to do with trauma as well, because she's definitely pushing something aside. I think the whole reason she drinks is because at the weekend she's got more time to think, and she doesn't want to think, because then she's thinking about things that have happened in the past. So she's drinking so that she doesn't. And while she's at work, because she's busy, these thoughts aren't occurring as much. But now though, because she is hanging around with Richmond, still can't remember if that's his name, it is providing a distraction when she's not at work. And I think we're starting to see her improve. She actually had a conversation with someone earlier in the book where it actually went well. She was buying a drink at a bar. She noticed that the guy had tattoos. She asked whether they were painful, and she just had a proper conversation with him that was not awkward in the slightest, and then went about her day. Most other conversations, she fails at drastically. I think back to the friendship with Richmond and the guy that they helped, that is helping her a lot. But the book started to move away from funny scenes, and we're going to scenes that were quite sad, because she is seeing how people interact normally. She is starting to see problems within her own interactions. She's not yet gone, oh, I'm the problem, but she's starting to see that things are not right. And she's starting to see what she doesn't have. And because she's seeing that and she's realising it, it's causing her to feel quite sad. And it's causing her to face the feelings that she's always pushed away. So I think in the future we might have some big emotional scenes where she's facing her trauma, she's facing her social issues, she's facing the fact that she doesn't really have any friends, facing the fact that her relationship with her mum isn't great, and just facing all the issues that she has. And I imagine she's going to come through the end stronger, but it's going to be a process. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I hope it's done well. I think from changing the scenes from being funny to being emotional and sad, we are getting a better representation. It's not all, let's just laugh at Eleanor. We are seeing the emotional side. We're getting attached to her. We're feeling what she's feeling. And hopefully in readers, it will create empathy for people who are like Eleanor and make them a bit more understanding and compassionate to people around them. I think that's all I've got to say about it at the moment. I'm over halfway now, 60 something percent, and I'm looking forward to reading the rest. Let's see how it goes. I'm intrigued. We go from chapter 25, she's getting ready to go to a concert to see the guy who's going to become the love of her life, even though he doesn't know she exists. And then, next page, what happened? I have finished Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. Last time I updated you was showing you the screen that said bad days. So what happened from there was, so she'd gone to the gig of the guy she was stalking. She got herself all dolled up, made sure that she was front and centre at the gig. The lights went down, he came on, he started to perform. She realised that he couldn't see her, and therefore he wasn't going to look at her and suddenly fall in love. And then she also realised how preposterous that idea was. She realised that not only could he not see her, even if he did, he would not look at her, instantly fall in love. And then that wouldn't lead to all her problems being solved. And she realised that the whole reason that she was thinking about him in this way was because she wanted something to change in her life. She realised that she wasn't fine, that she was lonely, that she had problems that she needed to face, and she realised that he wasn't going to solve them. She then got very drunk, went home, carried on drinking, missed days off work without phoning in, but was just drinking constantly or being unconscious. It was either drinking or being unconscious. And I think there's a point where she's just laying on the floor next to a pile of her own puke. This goes on for a few days, and then there's a knock on the door, and the knock doesn't stop, it keeps going until she answers the door. And there is Raymond at the door. She then blacks out, so she can't remember what happens next. But she then wakes up. She is laid on the sofa. The washing machine and dryer is going. There's the sound of someone tidying up in the kitchen. Tall glass of water next to her. And it just showed that Raymond was a good egg. He looked after her in that state. The washer and dryer was on because he was washing her bedding. He then puts the bedding back on, he makes her some soup, he sends her back to bed. He then leaves, but he's left his number and has told her, when you're awake, text me, or phone me, can't remember which one. And she is really surprised by all this. She's never really had anyone to care for her, to look after her. And having someone do that, it is mind-blowing to her. And the idea that someone can see her at her worst and then still stay around. But I've been finding that all through the book, Raymond is just a good guy. She is very socially awkward, and he sort of bridges that gap at times. There's a time when they're both invited to a party, and they're told, don't bring anything. And then when they meet up to go to the party together, he's brought something, she's not. They go to the party, he hands over the items and goes, this is from me and Eleanor. And there's so many other times where he's sort of her translator in translating the social things that she's missing. So after her breakdown, essentially, she then starts going to counselling and they start working through her problems. At first, I didn't think much of her counsellor. There were a few times when, right at the end of a session, something happened to really upset Eleanor. And then it's the end of the session, they can't deal with that. They'll deal with that next time. But she is left with all these emotions. And I think they should have had some sort of time at the end, as maybe like a little debrief or something, or winding down of a session, rather than just going through up until time's up, and then time's up right there, cut off, done. I feel they should have some time saved at the end, so then she's not left with these emotions and having to deal with them on the walk back. Although I know in therapy quite often people end up taking the rest of the day off because of the emotions that it's caused and the things that they're left to think about and deal with. But I think in the sessions that Eleanor was having, there was nothing to try and mitigate this at all. Later on, the therapist seems to be better, or counsellor. I can't actually remember if it was therapy or counselling, slightly different. But anyway, through this, she starts to deal with her problems and she starts to confront her past as well. And we do learn that what I suspected, and I imagine a lot of other readers suspected, that her mum did set the fire that killed her younger sister, and that is why her mum's in prison. So she then is now dealing with her past, and also dealing with how that has created problems in her present. But at the end of the book, things are going on an upward trajectory. She's getting better, she's dealing with things, she's back at work, She's actually having decent conversations with people where her social skills have improved so much. But then, right at the end, there was a plot twist that I didn't see coming. She looks at the newspaper articles about the fire, and in the articles it states that there were 2 bodies found, which were her younger sister and her mum. So all the time that she has been having phone calls with her mum, she hasn't been. And this is a plot twist that I've seen quite a few times now. And every time I fall for it, I'm starting to actually doubt my intelligence because of how often I fall for this very same plot twist. It's always a complete surprise, so I don't know how obvious it was in this case. I know in some fiction they leave clues dotted throughout the work to suggest that someone isn't real. But other times there aren't any clues, and I don't know if this one was one with clues or one that wasn't. I'd probably have to reread it to find out, or talk to other people about it. If you did see any clues that her mum didn't exist, let me know in the comments, because I'm curious and I don't want to read the book again anytime soon. I might read it again a few years from now, I don't know. But I think I did enjoy this book in the end. I have rated it 5 stars, but I think I'm going to lower it to 4 stars, just because there's a few things that I'm not sure on, whether I think they were done well or not. Overall, the story was done well. I liked Eleanor. I liked some of the really awkward conversations she had. I liked how we saw why she was the way that she was, and I found that part of the story quite believable. I'm not really sure what I thought about her mum not existing. I liked it because it surprised me, but I don't actually know how realistic it is. It's not really my level of expertise, but for entertainment value, it was entertaining. And I think overall the book created empathy for Eleanor, and I hope that that then creates empathy for people who are like Eleanor in the real world, because how she interacted with the world I felt was quite believable. It's not considered normal, but I think I've met people who are similar to Eleanor. So I think it was normal in the way that people are like Eleanor, and also normal in the way that there is a reason for why she's like that. And why she's like that is a normal development from what she's gone through and how she's been brought up. So in that way, I thought the book was good. So I think that is actually all my thoughts on this book. This is the first time that I've done a dedicated reading vlog to a specific book. So I hope it's gone well. I hope you've enjoyed it. I think I've enjoyed the process. Sometimes I waited too long after I read a particular part to update it, and that meant that I didn't remember it as well as I should. So going forward, I know to work on that. So I've included spoilers in this vlog, and I'm curious to know whether you would prefer me to do vlogs where I have spoilers in them, or vlogs where I don't have spoilers in them. I imagine part of that will depend on whether you've read the book or not. I had thought about doing both, but I think that's a bit too much work. But anyway, let me know what you thought in the comments. And I'll probably do more videos like this in the future. So of course, like this video if you liked it. If you want to see more of these videos, then subscribe. And I will catch you in the next one.